Welcome to another episode of Welcome Disruption, the podcast hosted by Adage Marketing Group. I'm Adrienne Mansfield, and today we're having a conversation with Zach Papenhausen, Apollo Bath CEO, on revolutionizing hygiene care in senior living. Let's get into it. Today we're here with Zach, the CEO of Apollo Bath, and we're going to talk about how bathing systems are going to influence or change the trajectory of trends in 2025. So, Zach, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you, as well as to work with you. If you'd like to kick us off, I was really curious. There's been a lot of talk lately around the boom that we're going to be seeing as interest rates change, moving into new developments and or renovations of current projects. So can you talk to us a little bit about the value of planning in a bathing spa room?
Yeah, absolutely, Adrienne. And first of all, I'm absolutely honored to have the opportunity to have a conversation with you today, speak about the importance of hygiene care in senior living, and to get into the question of why would somebody want to incorporate a spa room into their community. I don't really think there's necessarily one silver bullet reason to do it. I think there's a multitude of reasons why a senior living community would want to add a spa room and add things like a luxurious bathing experience to the facility. First and foremost, at the end of the day, we're trying to elevate the care and experience for seniors that are entering into the facilities and those that are in your care today. And simple things like hygiene, being clean, and feeling cared for are huge. Not only for the well-being of the resident, I think it also can have an impact throughout the entire community. It can also have an impact on perceptions of care, whether that be from the family or also from the perceptions of care and how much that resident is valued to the community itself, with all those little things that come with, spoiling a person or, really just showing them that they matter. Sometimes it's just that opportunity to smile that day. Can you imagine if you're alone in your room and that bathing aide walks into your room and says it's your turn for a luxurious spa experience?
Absolutely.
What kind of feeling that can offer to that resident? It can just be not only making their day, it literally could make their week or their month.
Yeah. And could you share the story that you and I had discussed before about when you were visiting senior living communities for your family, what that hygiene impression left with you?
Yeah, it's really often a story of perception, even if it's not a great reflection of the community. And I'll kind of walk through a little bit of a story, as you kind of alluded to. So I did have the opportunity to tour some facilities from, call it, the consumer side of the equation or the family member side of the equation. And to give you the story in a kind of three different scenarios and how that can really impact a facility that is chosen for a family. Imagine yourself going to facility number one that it looks amazing from the outside. Everything from the lawns that are manicured to the facade at the beginning, the outside of the building, to when you walk into the facility, it has a great room. But just imagine yourselves if you went into that facility and you found there was a couple, call it the greeters of the building. I think a lot of those buildings, when you walk into them, there's often residents near the entrance, probably because they like to see the comings and goings of people. But the point of the story is, can you imagine just imagine two people there, and the perception difference that would occur if those two individuals were either one, looking clean, looking refreshed, looking dapper. They're clean. Their clothes are clean. Their clothes are pressed, and you can tell that they've had a recent bath or a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Versus understand what that experience may be if everything else was great, but yet the two individuals had kind of greasy hair,
Mm-hmm.
skin looked dry, maybe their clothing looked a little less than clean. That perception of what is care just in that one singular moment can make such a massive difference to a family member's perception of what's going on there on a daily basis. Whether fair or unfair, that can drive a huge difference in how you would attract residents.
I
So
think you point out something really incredible there, which is the intersection of real estate and healthcare in senior living communities. And often we coach salespeople, we're not selling real estate, we're selling a lifestyle. But to your point, if what people are seeing or perceiving when they come in is a beautiful building and a lack of individual support and care, it's going to affect the marketability of the building. And if anything, I think it reinforces that we are, in fact, in that moment selling real estate because we need to address the obvious lack of support on the care side. Can you walk us through how specifically having a consistent bathing schedule and spa room that's outfitted accordingly is helpful for maintaining that marketability? What is it? How do we enhance that through the use of easy to use products or staff who tend to struggle with things like a 2-person or 3-person bathing assist?
yeah, well, there's a lot to unpack there, Adrienne. So I'll do my best to be as concise as possible, and please do interject whenever you feel is appropriate. When a facility is considering the success of their program, in order to have, I think that at the end of the day, you can buy a bathing system, which is great, but it doesn't end there. At the end of the day, you got to have the right tool for the job. So not just, first of all, any tub and throw it in the room and let it be will bring the delivery of care that what you're ultimately after, nor will it bring the exact experience for either a caretaker or a resident unless you have the right tool for the job. And there's a lot of things to consider there. So just a few things to consider are what is the level of ambulatory nature of the residents in your facility? Do you have obese that are in that population? Do you have some that need lift systems? Do you have a fully ambulatory group that can just easily walk in and out of a tub? Those are all important things to start considering outside of just aesthetics alone. I'd also start having to think of, well, how many caretakers does it require in order to perform the job of hygiene care, whether that be in a shower experience or a bath experience? And there's a number of things that can start impacting whether that facility is or actually that spa room is effectively even utilized. So I would argue that if you get the wrong tool for the job, it's very possible that it won't be used. And if it is used, it might not deliver the experience you like. So what are the things that you need? Some of the things you need are, you got to have a bathing system that, again, meets the demographics. So let's walk through a couple of those. So if you have a fully ambulatory group and you're confident that all your residents are easily going to be going in and out, well, then the things probably are like a low step height that you'd be concerned about. It would be things like a big wide door to make sure you can easily get in and out, and the door is not a hazard, and it's also safe and strong and durable. You might want to consider things, well, how are you going to administer the like the soaps and the oils and that kind of stuff? What are you going to integrate into that experience? And then how are you going to clean the tub? Well, when the resident's out of it, because obviously you need to clean it in order to get ready for the next resident. If you have residents that could either develop to a less ambulatory state, or you do have residents that are currently not as ambulatory and maybe would be benefiting from an easier transfer in and out of the tub. And furthermore, also from a safety standpoint, you wouldn't maybe be advised to be walking on wet surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
You could be looking at things like a transfer process that wouldn't require as much ambulatory requirements, right? So if you look at Apollo Bath, one of the innovations that we have is we have a fully seated transfer process from what we call the level glide system. And the level glide transfer system allows for transporting a resident all the way from their room to the bath, into the bathtub, out of the bath, back up to the room in a fully seated manner and never having to get up.
Wow.
And those little things can mean a lot, right? Of how you make that happen.
I think it's amazing, if I could interject, the idea that a resident wouldn't have to be put in multiple lifts and wheelchairs to be transferred and moved from their room to the bathing area. I also think it circles back to our original question of, when we're designing our new builds, taking into consideration that there is an option to be able to incorporate the bathing spa in such a geographic location within the building that it's accessible to those resident rooms, as opposed to, out of the way or in the back of the house, so that those were faster moves. And it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't sound like it would take 2 or 3 staff members to move someone using that level glide system.
Yeah, correct. Thanks for catching that important advantage, if you will, of to using the transfer system of that. So it's not just fully seated, which is certainly good for the safety of the resident, and it's a good thing for the caregiver to not have to. But if you talk about what that means in number of caretakers that might have to be required in that, it certainly reduces that amount. Likely can do the entire process with just one caretaker versus 2 or 3.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because you can put them safely in the transfer chair. It does have seat belts that can be engaged and should be engaged during that transfer. And then they remain seated throughout the entire process. And it's really simple to transfer that person from the chair and into the tub. Without getting too much into the detail of what that looks like, what is important to understand is that it literally can be done with one person, with the lift of basically one finger of a knob that disengages the seat from the entire carrier system, and it gets on a rail and goes straight into the back of the tub. And then you can go ahead and safely secure them in the tub. And that all easily can be done with one individual.
Well, and as we're looking at staffing shortages nationwide and the new regulations that are coming out requiring a certain caregiver to resident ratio, this sounds like a really ideal situation in terms of being single caregiver, and also not having multiple lift engagements from a safety perspective. I'm curious, you mentioned earlier about noticing skin and whether or not people not just were clean, but also were well hydrated. Can you talk to me a little bit about how having integrated solutions within the Apollo systems is beneficial for caregivers, saving time, minimizing spills? I'm really curious how that works.
Yeah, again, you asked a packed question of information there. So everything from skin hygiene is certainly an important consideration in the bath / showering hygiene process. A couple things that can be done. Number one, it's important consideration of what product you're using. I think it's really important that using the right body washes that don't have as much drying capabilities. Often ones that are highly scented could result in some unintended consequences of further drying out the skin. So be careful and cognizant of that. And then little things like added added oil additives to a bath or a shower experience can be really beneficial to a resident's skin, especially as they get older. They tend to get extra dry. And the way Apollo solves that is we do have both of those things integrated into the bathtub in a pump form. So the caretaker has it right at their fingertips to dispose the body wash, as well as they can also do a quick oil additive to the water that then can provide some continuous, call it skin hydration when they're getting the bath. Furthermore, after the bath, we do have some integrated components that are some liquids that we haven't really talked about that can also be extremely helpful for the caretaker process. And that's in that cleaning process of the tub itself. So we also have built into our bathing systems a fully integrated disinfection or infection control system. And the way that works is it's connected to two of our products. One's called Turbo Clean, which is kind of a pre-wash surface cleaner, and then we have a quaternary disinfectant called Sidol that can then be added to truly disinfect that area for the safety and cleanliness of the next resident. And the importance of that is that it's integrated, so it's metered. The right amount of chemicals and solutions are going to get in the bathtub. There's no measuring needed. There's no handling of the product required. Just make it simple and easy to administer that after the bath. And heck, we even include a tub brush to make it extra easy on those caretakers.
That's excellent. So I think that, it's clear that the caregiving staff is going to be enhanced, in their ability to do more, have more personal time to connect with residents, which is ultimately always what we want. But I also find it interesting that if you could go in a little bit more detail, that having that tub cleaning system between residents is going to decrease things like UTIs or transferred skin infections that are sometimes a concern around, bathing rooms.
Yeah, we've got a couple things there. So specific to UTIs, urinary tract infections, we all know that the rate of those continues to increase as we age. And there's also an opportunity, unfortunately, of self-infection when taking a bath or a shower that can certainly occur if the area of which you are in is not very clean. So it's super important to clean any of the hard surfaces where hygiene is occurring, whether that be in a bath or whether it be in the shower. And we do have that integrated within the bathing system. But we've taken it a step further, and we took it a step further in what we call the Remedy Ultraviolet water purification product. And to explain that just a little bit more is we've taken the UV light, which is a tried and true and tested way to disinfect, and we've integrated that into the plumbing system of our bathing system. So the way that works is in a whirlpool, the way a whirlpool is designed is it has a continuous circulation of water, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be always bringing water from the tub area back through the pipes, out through the jets, and then creating hydrotherapy, which is a whole nother topic we could get into. But while it's doing that circulation process and it's circling back in through the tub, in the pipes themselves, so there's nothing needed to be done by the caretakers at all. It's automatic. We have two UV light bulbs that are treating the water as it circulates through the plumbing system. So that does two things. That number one, keeps the water as clean as possible while that individual is undergoing their bathtub. The secondary benefit of that is it continues to keep less bacteria in the plumbing system itself as well. So it's a double good by using UV light. And the other component of UV light, which was highlighted throughout the COVID time, is that really at the end of the day, it almost is guaranteed to work. The variables that are needed is time and power. If you got the right enough strength or power of light and enough time on that area, it will do its job and disinfect. And the reason why that's important is because things change and mutate, correct?
Right.
And if we're using certain chemicals, sometimes that mutation can adapt enough to where the chemicals are not as useful.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can't outdo the light. It works with time and power.
I think that's really brilliant, tying together, in this case, almost the environmental aspect of making sure that between residents the tubs are clean and consistently, able to be disinfected, but also that even for a single resident, that the water is being purified as it's going through the system. I guess let there be light. I think that's absolutely powerful. And again, tying this back to the care outcomes of the communities, I think all of us are focused on how do we retain the residents that we have? How do we get referrals from their satisfied family members? And I think that being able to come in and visit mom and seeing her refreshed, relaxed, well tended ties together really nicely with getting that next referral. And I always say that your last move in should be your next referral source. So I think that it really impacts the marketability of a community. And are you equipping any of your partners with how to talk about their Apollo baths?
Yeah, absolutely. I think training and education is critical, and we have developed a program that is really talking to elevate the hygiene within our partners. And so we have a program called the Hygiene Seal of Excellence, and we have some partners that are starting to sign up for that. And it's really just a waving of the hand and a significant saying that yes, we are committed to this in our facilities and see the value of this care. Like one example is recently we did a joint kind of marketing campaign with Carew, one of our great partners here in Wisconsin, Minnesota area, that we built some custom flyers in education for their staff as well as the families that are coming into their facilities, that they can see the importance and what that facility is doing. And we're certainly willing to work with any of our partners on crafting that message and helping them educate both their caretakers as well as the families that are coming to visit their facility and see the commitment that they have to caring for their residents. And that's something that we feel quite strong about, is that at the end of the day, our message as a business is to elevate care for seniors. That is our business model, and the way that we can do that is with our partners.
Absolutely. Yes. So as you're looking to the future, are you engaging in any innovation at Apollo Bath to continue to meet those consumer demands? There's been a lot of talk in the media about meeting the next consumer's expectations, but I think that often starts with touching base with the people currently engaging with our products or our services to understand how we can enhance.
Yeah. So when it comes to innovation, innovation is truly one of our pillars. Innovation falls into one of our 5 key core metrics of our business, of our core values. And so we breathe that on an everyday basis, and definitely every month and year basis. And I'll give you a couple examples. So number one, and we think that it is important that we're constantly asking questions of our partners, our senior living facility partners, of what they need and how can we do things better, and what are the things that specifically in our case to the hygiene or bathing or showering experience, how can we make that better? We talked about the innovations that we've already have, everything from the UV light, which is a unique piece. We've talked about the no lift transfer system, which we feel very strong about. We've talked about building brochures and whatnot for those great partners. But one thing we didn't talk about is time. And we did talk about the resources of how many people it takes to give a bath and whatnot, which I think is critical. So the number of people that it takes, but we didn't really get into the time and in the efficiency side of the equation. And some of our key innovations have to also focus on, well, how can we make this an easier experience for our caregivers, so it doesn't take as long, because we don't have the bodies, but we also don't have the time.
Yeah.
And we do that with that integrated cleaning system that's afterwards. So we don't, it's already built in. You press a button and it's ready to go and rock. And the other, really one of the other key pieces to that we haven't touched on at all is the rapid fill reservoir system. And the rapid fill was developed when our customers expressed, and frankly, it makes a ton of sense, the challenge of filling the tub time. Like, how long does that take to get it ready? And then the secondary piece of that is not just the time, but the experience. So imagine yourself being able to go to a bath that you can instantly fill in pretty much a minute to a minute and a half, versus having a bath that typically would take, depending on water pressure, amount of hot water heater capability, etc. But that's going to take at least 5 minutes, and probably more like 10 to 12 minutes on an average basis.
So as the experience goes, that would be a person sitting in an empty tub for up to 5 minutes unclothed, waiting for that to fill.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly the problem, right? And that's a problem twofold, if not more than that. The twofold problem is you have an experiential issue, because now you're cold waiting for the water. We also solve that we have an integrated shower wand, by the way, in all of our tubs, which I think is also helpful and critical, especially if you could basically use the tub as a showering, pool, if the resident, for example, wants that prefers that type of experience. But then you can still have the water contained. You don't have to worry about as much splash, etc. But specifically to the bathing experience, we basically cut that time probably by 10. I mean, we're talking significant, because you're going from 10 minutes to a minute of what that process looks like. And all you have to do is invest in the rapid fill reservoir. And the way that works is it can be filled either before the resident enters the room, or you could be filling a tank while you're providing a current bath to the current resident. You could simultaneously be filling the tank for the next resident. And then all it requires is pulling a valve, and then it releases all the warm water that's ready to go at roughly 140 degrees, which is the ideal temperature. And the experience is exponentially better for both the resident. And again, we didn't really focus, but that's an experiential challenge also for the caretaker.
Right. And so you save time on both sides. The resident has less time sitting in the cold waiting for the fill, and the caregiver has the ability to transition between baths quite quickly.
We have the facilities that really have this figured out. They're doing anywhere from 8 to 12 baths a day with one bathtub quite easily. And it's really all because of the efficiencies and using the right tools. We'll go back to the very beginning of the discussion. If you have the right tools for the job, you can get the job done better than anything. And you make that investment up front that'll last minimum of 10 years. And we have product out there that's 20 plus years old. So it lasts a long time.
There's some solid ROI on a 20 plus year capital investment, it sounds like. So can you help me understand, when it comes to those older tubs that a lot of communities are currently working with, walk me through how we can help them either with their current tub or planning for their next tub?
Yeah, well, we can do everything from with the troubleshooting. If they're having it, we do actually have a dedicated technical support team on standby, of which currently we do not charge for those services for all of our past customers, or current and past customers.
Great value.
Furthermore, we have partners in the field that can help with repairs whenever necessary. Of course, we support our parts for our products for a minimum of 10 years after that product is sold, so they can get replacement if need be. And then to take it a step further, one of our innovations that's coming in the future is we are looking to add additional service techs to our portfolio. So in the near future, we will be able, at least to start at a regional level in the upper Midwest for sure, be able to service clients in the field if they so choose to ask us to join them in the field. Otherwise, we can always do it over the phone. We also have sets of videos that can help support some of those endeavors if they want to be able to do it themselves.
Wow. So you've really outfitted the value side on not just sales and marketing for making the building look and smell and feel more resident centric, but also enhancing the caregiver's daily routines and helping out the maintenance team. Because I know that that's another area that we've seen a ton of shortage. So
yeah, and I should probably circle back and go another direction too that we haven't touched on. If you're in the example that you just asked about, like what do they do when they're looking to plan for it, or they have a tub that's down and they're looking to upgrade, for example. Not only can we do what we just talked about, if they're in a position where they're actually going to redesign something, they're going to do a true remodel, or they're actually going to build something, we're happy to look at the plans. Currently, free of charge, we have engineers on staff that would be more than happy to look at the drawings, the CAD drawings, make recommendations based off our experience, how we would put the tub, where we would put it, what you should be thinking about from where drain location, water source, etc. We're happy to do that to help out in any way we can.
that is fantastic. I think that, again, with the hypothetical boom that's coming, I know we've all been kind of waiting with that pent up demand for new builds, but I was on a podcast recently and they were talking about the innovations around renovating. So I think that there's, definitely space here to enhance our overall care experience, lifestyle experience by incorporating a bathing system that's designed to kind of grow with the community. I really appreciate your time today, Zach. And I think that, experience matters is one of our catchphrases, but I really feel that Apollo delivers, bathing experiences, it sounds like, rather than just bathing systems.
Yeah, thank you, Adrienne. We do our best. We're here to help. Please give us a call. If you think we might be able to help, we'd love to at least give it a shot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for your time today and educating our audience on the importance of bathing systems and the hygiene seal of excellence. So I appreciate it. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, Adrienne.
Bye-bye.